My name is Abby Lopez, and I'm with Victoria Blair. Ta-da-dum! Ta-da-dum! Because I have a party, I know it. Welcome UI members, Ultimate Impact members. This is for you. This video, this interview, so we could get to know our wonderful member of our group. And also, if you watch it on my YouTube channel, you have a chance in this video, meet amazing sister in Christ who's gonna tell us story about her. And I'm gonna pull question after question, as many informations about her and her journey with Christ as possible. So,
all right.
Victoria, tell us maybe your nationality. Who are you from? You are married to? I am married to Mexican. I'm Lopez, but I'm Polish. How about you?
I'm Mexican, but married to a Caucasian.
So what was your maiden name?
Perez.
Perez.
Yeah.
Perez. I love it.
Yeah, but we always said it Perez because my parents speak Spanish, and my sister, my older sister, she speaks Spanish, but when me and my brother came along, we lived in a neighborhood where it was mostly Caucasian, so we never learned how to speak Spanish. So that's still one of my things. I want to learn how to speak Spanish, but it's like it hasn't happened yet.
Yes, but how about culturally? Did your mom raise you in this? Like, did you meet any cultural traditions from your
yeah, we would go to my grandma's house, and my grandma spoke Spanish, but she understood English. But yeah, we would go to her house, and we would even the kids, we'd all get together and make tamales. And so the biggest thing was like putting the masa on the but you know what, it's so funny, growing up I was always embarrassed of my heritage because I was in a mostly Caucasian neighborhood. But now it's like, when you get older, you go back and you want that, so now when I go to the Mexican grocery, I smell those smells, and it reminds me of my grandma's house, and just, you want to get closer to your culture as you get older, I think.
Yes, you have, my husband could relate so much to your story, really. If I asked him to say, that would be him speaking just the same thing. His mom, my mother-in-law, constantly tell me story whenever I see her about him being child. She says, honey, you cannot speak Spanish, just learn English. Because that same thing, environment, they would prosecute you, make fun of you. How crazy.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that we used to do is my dad used to, when we lived in the Roland Heights is where we lived. It's in Southern California. I was born here in Southern California and just have lived in 2 different places in Southern California. But kind of a funny story, my dad used to make menudo, the big giant pot of menudo.
Girl, and I know all these stuff, everyone. The menudo.
Okay, well,
yes.
I don't know, for those of you who don't know what menudo is, it's the stomach lining of a cow, which sounds really disgusting, but people love it, but it smells horrible when it's cooking. So my little friends would come over, and my dad, of course, would be making menudo, and it just stunk up the whole house, and they'd be like, "P.U., what is that?" And it's like, well, that's our dinner. It's like, I was always so embarrassed to say that because it just smells really gross. Bad.
I know. It's so funny. My husband is pretty easy to cook for him. Of course, it took me 17 years to learn to cook Mexican the proper way. Like, I would have to visit my mom-in-law so she could show me arroz con pollo or some other rice or this, or enchiladas the way she does, so my hubby would like it. But he says, honey, I'm easy. If you put salsa on a shoe, I'll eat it.
There you go. But growing up, I didn't really like Mexican food because it's like I was in denial of my whole culture growing up.
Yes, I understand.
That's really sad, actually.
Yes. It's sad, but you have different paradigm right now. You see it in such a different way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what made you shift?
I think my daughter, it's like she wanted to know more about our heritage and about, why don't you speak Spanish? And why, I want to learn how to speak Spanish. You know what? Because it's funny too, because, my kids are, of course, half Mexican and half Caucasian.
Yeah.
And so, you know, back then, everybody, when I was growing up, it was like everybody was blonde, blue-eyed. Magazines had blonde, blue-eyed, you know, so I wanted to identify.
Yeah.
So now it's opposite. My daughter's like, it's, you know, it's like, it's in to be ethnic now. Who knew?
You know, even I relate to it. I don't want to take too much time talking about me, but my children, oh my gosh, you're so right. I have two daughters that ask me about my Polish heritage, because I almost, you know, I used to speak a lot Polish to them, but eventually I stopped because it's so hard to teach them when I'm the only source of Polish. You compete against TV, friends, school,
Exactly.
the daddy that doesn't speak Polish. So I understand. And my daughter started learning. She got some free app in Polish, and she started learning Polish, talking to me. That kind of, you know, raised that passion. I so understand. So tell us about your kids and your daughter. What's her name? How old is she?
Her name's Madison, and she's 17. My son is 22. He's Quentin. And they're just really, really, really good kids, good people. It's funny. It's to get to know your kids, not as so much as an extension of yourself, but like as another human, as another person. You know, it's like when we're raising our kids, we forget that they're not an extension of ourselves. They're their own people. So it's like when they get a little older, you get to know them as their own person.
Yes, isn't it? Like you getting to know kids that you're raising, they change so much that you feel like they're different people. Yes, it's awesome. Tell me about your husband. I understand he's Caucasian, but how did you guys meet?
A blind date. We had like more than one person, friends of ours, that wanted to set us up. And what the funny thing is that years before, very small town. So years before, I worked for a veterinarian. What did you?
I said where? Small town.
Oh, it's in Banning, California. I mean, it's like very small.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, I worked for a veterinarian like, gosh, 20 years ago. And
that's why there's passion for the dogs. Gotcha.
Yeah. And he was dating somebody else who I worked with, and he came in to pick her up one day. And it's just funny. And then years later, people wanted to introduce us together because they had married and then divorced. And so, yeah, it was a blind date, and it just
that's how it happened. Look at that.
Yeah.
So tell me, I can sense passion towards animals. Tell us about your dog. Is it your main passion? The animals?
My standard poodles.
Talk about it. You want to talk about it? That's your other baby, correct?
Well, just working with animals is it's just funny now that we're learning all about codependency and it's just, you know, because Jim said yesterday something about training dogs, about the I can't remember what he said, but he said something about, but it's finding out that you know, like, because I'm a dog groomer and I'm mobile, so I go to people's houses, and it's just funny the way people like relate to their dogs, or like if somebody gets like a rescued dog, or like if somebody gets a dog from a dog pound or something, and they've always rescued the dog, and they, you know, they always it's always something like, oh, I rescued him. He's, you know, he's really scared around men, but they don't realize that they perpetuate that behavior by making the, you know, they still treat the dog as if it's a rescue. You know what I mean? Like, so then they keep that behavior, they keep that submissive behavior, and then they wonder why their dog's submissive. It's just funny stuff like that. It just
interesting. So people build codependencies not only with other people, but animals.
They do.
Come on, that's an amazing point.
What's funny is if they get them from a pound, it's like, to me, rescue is when you've pulled them from a burning building or something.
Yes.
But people like to feel, you know, stronger about themselves by rescuing their dog.
Yes.
But like if they get it from the pound or whatever. Just interesting.
Interesting. Wow. So do you still work as a vet?
No,
Or
no.
you just,
I was just a vet tech, but
Oh.
but having that experience really helps with the handling. I think the main thing, just with the whole grooming, is mainly the handling, and it's fun because it's become like an instinctive trait. Like when I'm working, it's like I haven't been bit because it's just watching body language, and it's just become such a like a knee-jerk reaction type thing now. So it's like I can tell when I have a nervous dog, or I can tell when I need to, just certain things I need to do in order to make them calm and get in there and do what I need to do. So like trimming toenails or something. It's just because dogs are they don't like their feet touched. Most of them don't. And so having to lift their foot off the ground, they don't like it. So you have to hold them in like a certain way, and just fun to just work, and I'm just blessed that I'm able to work one-on-one. I work by myself, and I have enough clients that keep me going. So
yes,
it's just such a blessing. It really is.
Yes. Oh, so good. You talk to many dog owners. Everything you say is so interesting. And I'm sure there is much more questions. And even in comments, you're going to hear. What do you think would be very significant for dog owners? What would you like to tell them? Is there something very important that we might not know of that you would like to tell us? What to be cautious or make sure to what?
You know what? I find that there's like two different kinds of people. There's people who characterize dogs as just a dog. They fling it in the backyard. They don't pay attention to it. They don't, it's almost like everybody needs to have a dog. So they just have a dog just for the sake of having a dog. So they don't treat it as if it's another living being. And then you get the other people from the other spectrum who are just like so crazy and so like, she doesn't like this or she doesn't like that. And most of the time, sometimes it's nice to get the dog alone, away from the person, because the person's so like focused on that dog and so like gets all their emotional fulfillment from the dog, which, I do when I'm with my dogs, but I still have family, and, the family's always first, but when I'm alone, one-on-one with my dogs, it's always fun to enjoy them. Like we did, like, I don't know if you saw the videos of them on the beach. It's just fun to watch them run and play. It's just like poetry in motion to me, just to watch them running and hear the water, and it's just a fun thing to do. It's just magic.
So you guys just came back from somewhere. Can you tell us about your trip? You took your dogs with you?
Yes, it's a beach in Southern or in the Central Coast, California, Cayucas, California, and it's a dog friendly town. Everybody, but just being able just to run on the beach and just see the beauty and of the beach, and just because I'm way inland, so we went to the coast. So to go to the coast is like huge. And just to feel that smell and the waves, and then to see the dogs running, and it's just amazing to me.
Oh, you're teasing us. You're just big teaser right now. Everybody wants to go to the coast.
I know, it just smells so good. That's my happy place. That's where I belong.
It's worth to invest money, save money, and just go, because it's unbelievable, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. And it's not that far, really. It's just a matter of making the time to go.
Well, depends where you live.
Yeah.
I live in Chicago, so.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Well, but you know what? You touched on something that I would like to bring to people's attention. We tend to get out of balance, which means codependency, towards our animal. Either we get careless, or we get too crazy about it. So what would you tell those owners? Just how to get back to normal?
You know what? I think it's so wound into who the person is, because sometimes, like, if I'll tell somebody, like, if they say, oh, but she's always scared. And I tell them, if you're constantly reassuring your dog when they're scared or submissive or whatever, and you're saying, it's okay, then you're encouraging that submissive behavior every time. So don't do that. Ignore submissive behavior. And then when they do something outgoing and confident, then you praise that behavior. It's so funny because dogs just live in the moment. They don't think about their past. They don't think about, they don't look forward. They just live in the moment. And it's like, that's the thing we need to learn from dogs. It's like, they live in the moment. They are happy when you're happy. They're happy, you know, they don't think about when they were in the dog pound, you know, whatever their life was. They live in the moment. They live in the now. And that's,
I love it.
We need to just totally learn from our dogs.
Yes, come on, observe dogs. How many times I've seen those short videos that show dog personality and what you nail it so well. If we were just a little bit like these dogs, we had some personality, man, we would live in forgiveness, happiness.
Exactly. They forget. I mean, even if you make mistakes with them and, you know, you get mad at them for chewing on something, and it's like or even if you don't catch them in the act of chewing, they're wondering, what the hell is she yelling at? You know, why are you yelling at? Like, you need to catch them in the act of doing that, because they do live in the moment. So it's confusing to them if you're trying to correct them for something that they're doing when they're not doing it.
Yes. And you know what's beautiful about you, what you said is, as much as you talk about the dogs, they are not your priority. You don't appear as a person that's just super a dog freak. It's crazy about dogs.
Well, I can't become a dog freak. I mean,
but you said your children are first.
Yes.
Your
always.
family. Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you get balance in this? Can you talk to people? Remember, dog owners.
Okay. You know what? It's easier now that they're older, because because like I said, my daughter's 17, my son's 22. But when they were smaller, it was easy to just try to be everything to everybody in the house. And you know what? We can. As mothers, we try. And and pretty soon that trying to do everything for everybody becomes a part of you. And it's really hard to shake it off. It's really hard. And so, it's just like you had your thing this morning, which you have to do because your kids are still little. You had to go, take care of a situation with the teacher. It's like, you have to do that. And I still kind of do stuff like later on today, my daughter has to have a physical for volleyball because we're in the clear now. They can go play sports now because of this whole COVID. So later on today, we're going to go to her physical so she can get cleared to play volleyball. But, where they still need us, but it's just funny how, life is just funny how it changes, that you don't absorb everything. Everything's not, you don't have to control everything that everybody does as, because you're the mother. You think, I don't know, anyway.
Come on, how about walk the dog? Talking about codependencies, that's the word number one in our series, in our teachings. Codependency, you're telling your child, walk the dog. It's also your dog. How did you handle that when they were younger? Did they walk?
We started off that way where they were like, my daughter wanted a dog. So I said, okay, you got to feed them. You got to do everything. Hungry, you have to feed her, which she was really good at learning that and did feed them. And she's really good to learn that. But it was more of kind of like a joint project. And then I kind of took over, I guess, because I'm more like, because I'm the one that grooms them and but I mean, ultimately they're more like my dogs, but they like my little red standard poodle, she's more like my husband's dog. When she gets tired or something, she's ready to get up in his lap. And
yes, you spoke so many nuggets right now. I'm thinking of personality of the dogs. It's so beautiful. Just guys, let's observe dog and we're gonna learn so much. I get mad at dogs sometimes because they whine, they are whining sometimes, but they don't care. They just love on you. They will come as soon as you get over your madness, whatever. They are back. Can we be like this?
I know. And that's why even a dog that's like treated badly, they still love the people that they you know, because like once in a while I get dogs that are just so horribly neglected or matted or whatever, and I'm just like, it's upsetting for me to just sit there and have to peel this matted coat off of their skin, because hair shrinks as it dries. So if the dog gets wet, then the hair shrinks and then it pulls on their skin. So then I'm having to demat and everything, and then you know, when I do that, it's sometimes it's hard to give them back, because you know they're going to be treated that same way. You know, it's sad.
So can you instruct owners sometimes?
Yeah, and I tell them, I show them and tell them, look, at this is what happens. This is what is the result of, you know, neglect, basically neglect. When you don't comb and brush down to the skin, you know, people just don't understand that. You know, they want a big, fluffy, beautiful dog, but you have to brush down to the skin and comb down to the skin, everything.
You know, I'm gonna sneak one more question. I'm sorry.
Okay.
About the dogs.
No, you're good.
Is that true that dogs pick up and reflect the personalities of their owners after years?
Sometimes they do. Yeah, but see, again, it's the owners making them that way. It's the owners feeding off of whatever. Because dogs, it's so funny, because dogs will never follow a weak leader. They won't. They're just, God designed them to where to be, they have a pack leader. If they're wild dogs, they have a leader. So they'll follow a strong leader. They can't follow a weak leader. So if the owner is a weak leader or lets the dog do whatever, it's confusion then. They're followers. They have to be led. So you have to be the alpha. You have to be the leader with the dog. Not forceful or mean or abusive. You just have to show your body language. You need to show that you're in charge, because that's what they follow. And when you don't, then there's confusion.
Wow. Victoria, if people have questions about dogs, I'm not talking showering you now with on your messenger.
No, that's totally fine.
Can they call you? Can they email?
Absolutely. They can private message me, whatever. I can talk about dogs all day long.
That's so good. So guys, I'm going to include in description under this video, there's going to be a link for Victoria. And no, not link, email address. Is it okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Awesome. Messenger is easier. I'll get back to them faster, because I hear, you know, the ding when it's a messenger.
Awesome.
So
then yeah, I'll send you personally 3 more questions, but not now. That's so cool. No, about the dogs. I have a Karen Terrier. So.
Oh, I love Karen.
I love him so much. He's sweet, but he thinks he's a lion. You know, in his mind.
He's a terrier. You have to remember, what was the Karen Terrier bred for? Karen Terrier was bred to be very tenacious and go after rodents and so you have to remember that personality. So that's, you know, when you wonder why, like why they act this way, you have to go back to what they were bred for. Yeah. Karen Terrier.
So it stays in their dog's DNA.
Stays in their DNA. To Karen Terrier, that's why you fight with him, because he's a terrier. He's gonna go get that mouse. He's gonna go get that. You know, he's ready to do that. So they're very hard-headed. Karen Terriers, you really have to be the alpha. Not forceful, but you have to establish yourself as the leader, because he's terrier is gonna get distracted because he's got a job to do. That's their mentality.
Mm-hmm. That's why he adores my husband. Literally, he lives just sitting and watching him. Anything. He'll sleep.
Good husband be the alpha.
Yeah, that's so good. So guys, if you have questions about the dog, this is the girl you want to talk to. Wow. So tell us maybe more about journey with Jesus. I know I'm switching, but we can go back to the dog.
No, it's good. Good. Yeah. It's really good.
When did you get saved? Did you grow up in a Catholic environment?
No. You know what? Thankfully, I'm kind of glad. I can remember growing up, my brother and sister used to go to catechism, and I always wanted to go because I'm the baby. So they were old, you know, they were older than me. And I used to be like, where are they going? And I always heard this catechism. But you know what? I'm so glad I didn't get wrapped up in that, because so many people, it's such a not horrible, but it's such a burden to be in the religion of Catholicism. So So I didn't grow up in Catholic. In fact, we didn't even have a Bible in the house at all. My dad was an alcoholic, and my mom was an enabler.
Okay.
So yeah, so she, she encouraged the drinking more so without even realizing it, but because she was embarrassed. She didn't want the neighbors to see him drunk. One time he passed out in the yard, and she pulled him inside the house. My mom's little. My mom's like 5'2", and my dad was big, and she hoed him into the house so that the neighbors wouldn't see him passed out in the front yard.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
so
as
peer pressure creates, because she worried about environment.
You were gonna say
Codependency.
Oh boy, she was codependent. Now, going through this course is making me realize that I've picked up some of those codependency things. But yeah, as I went to church with a friend of mine, and it was one of those churches where you go, it was kind of like church camp where you go, and then they tell you the whole story about Jesus and stuff, and then they tell you, if you can be saved, and then they show you the scary rapture video. Remember those? Like, yeah, the scary one. And so that's why I got saved. I was scared. I didn't want to go to hell, because they scare the crap out of you.
Me too. I was biting my nails.
I know.
The rapture.
Yeah. But learning just his goodness, and it's just such a relief, it's just, you just see him. I mean, he's like your total, like the greatest hero that ever lives.
Yes,
that is just amazing. And I just love learning more, just being part of this group, and just listening to Jim, and it's awesome.
And tell me, when did you find Dr. Jim? Impact Ministries,
we went to a church that his good friend, was a man by the name of Dave Duell. And he was very charismatic, very, a lot of people here in this group probably know, because he would come to their church. Man, he was awesome. And so Dave came to our church, and so that's how we got to know. My kids went to his camp. Just awesome. He just truly loved the love of God. So then, looking at his website, we found Jim's information, and man, what a lifesaver. Whew, what a lifesaver. Awesome.
So how many years ago was it?
It was, let me see, it was probably maybe like,
you were that from the beginning, from day one on Ultimate Impact, aren't you?
Yeah, 5 or 6. But you know what? Just really not really being consistent with the teaching, but reading the book and reading it and that's why I like to go back and read his books again, because you always see a new thing, wait a minute, I didn't see that. Or listening to some of the videos, or listening to some of the teaching, it's like, I don't remember him saying that last time.
Yes.
It just all that, just like I think one of my favorites is Paradigms, Perspectives, and the Glory of God. Oh, that one is
okay. Paradigms. I'm gonna include that under. You know what, guys? The teachings that she's talking about are Dr. Jim's Richards, and I'm gonna post links in the descriptions. Okay.
Yeah.
People say, what? Show me which one. Okay?
Oh my goodness, that one's so awesome. I've listened to that not millions, but it just numerous times, and then it just, every time you hear it new, every single time, it's really, really good.
Because you know what? Because it sings so much with the heart of God. It's like reading the Bible, same thing. You just discover new. You know what I believe? When somebody is really in harmony, in sync with God, and speaks that, just like Dr. Jim, we know he speaks the gospel of peace. It's same thing like with the Bible. You discover a new face of God, something that you didn't see before, because you were amazed of this, but then you met that, and then that's another angle.
Yeah.
Wow, awesome. Like angels flying around. I mean, circling around God's throne. They bow nonstop, saying, "Holy, holy, holy." Why? Because they discover something new.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Well, like he says in one spot, he says, what we see is not the truth. It's just the way we see the truth. God sees it every way. It's just, how awesome that. It's just so amazing. Amazing.
Oh, so cool. So tell me, what was, well, I don't want to give you too hard questions.
No.
Yeah, it's okay. What was that significant paradigm shift in codependencies, teaching on codependencies for your life, for your heart? You kind of gave us nuggets on your mom when you were talking about you, that you picked up some stuff from your mom, but what was the revelation? What were you able to change in your daily life?
You know, I think it was talking to Pat Richards. I didn't realize I was codependent. I always looked at my mom like, oh, I don't want to be like her. She's yeah, I didn't understand the word. I mean, when she was kind of getting out of, my dad did actually get out of his alcoholism, and he probably lived another 10 years after he quit drinking, because he had liver damage, and so his liver recovered. But I always said I wasn't going to be like my mom and allow stuff like this to happen. Come to find out, the word codependency came up, and I was like, oh, wow. I thought that was just for people who lived with an alcoholic.
Yes.
Or like enabled an alcoholic, but I didn't realize that I picked up some of those tendencies. It was like, oh, okay, that's me too. So now I'm like, I'm like being codependent. But it's interesting what comes away, how much you realize when you start learning more about codependent. Anything that you go outside of yourself other than God is codependency. It's like, wow, I have to constantly remind myself, okay, is this what I'm doing right now? Am I reaching outside of myself? Outside of God.
And it's daily life, isn't it? It's every day. You want today, but tomorrow you're going to repeat some old habits.
Exactly. Without even realizing it, you just go do something and you're like, oh man, that was codependent. Like every day is a new day though.
Hey, come on. And tomorrow will be always different day. It will never be like today.
Exactly.
Wow. So could you tell us a little bit about your children? Do they walk with God? How do you tell them about this whole revelation that you have?
We talk about it, but I really have to thank Dave Duell. They both had the opportunity to go to his camp and just experience, just the love of God, and they learned so much about there's no way I could have taught them the stuff that they learned from him. Just amazing. He's got books. So, he wrote books like Throw Yourself a Party. That's a good one.
Okay. So we're going to include link to that too in the description.
Yeah. If you ever, this was a man that if you wanted to find out what it was like being around Jesus, that was Dave Duell. He was just amazing. And then he taught him how to speak in, they spoke in tongues. My son said when he went to camp, he lined them all up and he said, I'm going to blow on you. And then when I blow on you, you're going to be able to speak in tongues. And he was like, ready? And he blew on them and they were all just, stuff like that. It's like, I want them to, it was amazing that they were able to see the fun and the what do you call it?
I don't know, not anointing. I don't want to say this.
Yeah, the anointing, like the serendipity, the fun part of God. It's like they learned that way. I feel they learned a lot, and just being able to trust God and knowing who he. I keep getting this hair in my mouth.
We cannot tell.
But just learning that way and just their walk with God. They trust, and sometimes they tend to trust him more than we do. It's like sometimes my daughter will say, no, Mom, you have to remember, you have to trust. You can't do that. You got to do this. You got to trust. It's like,
isn't it those little simple things that our children will tell us
yeah,
that we taught them? All of a
yeah.
sudden, it just comes in such a different mode. You're like, you're right. How do you know that? You're
Mhm,
so smart.
mhm.
Who told you?
You know, one time when my son was like 4 years old, this was awesome, where I can remember we were watching some nature show, and it was these orcas jumping out of the water.
Uh-huh.
And you know, the killer whales, like they were jumping out of the water, and the
Yeah.
narrator of the show
The show.
was saying, nobody knows why these whales jump up out of the water and why they do that. And my son goes, I know why, Mom. And I go, he goes, I know. And I said, really, why? And he goes, I know what they're doing. I go, why, honey? And they're praising God.
Yeah. Woohoo!
4-year-old.
Worship.
Yeah. And you know what? They probably, I'm sure that's what it is. Why they do that. Why they jump out of the water.
Miss Vet, you should know everything much more than I do, at least. Maybe catch the air or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or maybe just blow. Holler. But there must be some aspect of glory. You're right. The whole creation is praising God.
Whole creation.
Come on, even leaves, you know, somebody, oh gosh, you see, we getting off subject, but somebody tested leaves and their the way that they give sound, and I don't know if he slowed down some to a certain degree, or he speeded up, but he found out that was incredible. He discovered that they create a beautiful harmony.
I saw that.
Did you? Same thing with what grasshoppers or something like this. He went to the next of grasshoppers, and if you take those waves down, it's beautiful. It sounds like symphony orchestra.
Yeah. Well, you know, my dad was a beekeeper. That wasn't his job. That was his hobby, where he loved to study the bees. He always said, oh, my bees are talking to me. My bees are, it's going to be a cold winter. It's going to be, you know, because he can tell how much honey and stuff they were getting and everything. But he would just sit out there and just watch his bees. He always called them his bees. He'd sit there and watch them. But he would say, you know, you can kind of tell the way they do this little dance before they go into their hive.
Yes.
And that's praise. You know, we don't know. It could be because I think maybe they hear better than we can. Maybe they can hear the voice of God. They would have to.
The nature, the instinct, there's so much more in it. Those are all God's languages. He has created this whole thing. So the nature is talking. Nature is worshiping God. And we are, even though we are the head of the nature, correct? But somehow, because of our abilities, much greater abilities, we mute God's voice, and they are, because of their simplicity, they are able to hear Him purely.
Exactly.
That's so awesome.
Funny.
Well, could you tell us, you know, have you done heart physics, ever done heart physics meditation?
I did. You know what? I need to do it again. I thought it was only a week. I didn't realize it was like a whole month. I don't know why. But yeah, I need to go back and do that. It's just, I love the aspect of having a secret place. I go to my secret place all the time, and it's like, and of course I'm on the beach with my dogs. When I see Jesus coming, my dogs see him first. They get excited that, you know, because they would be happy and see him. But it's like, heart physics, amazing.
The reason I ask you is because I'd like you to tell people, well, it doesn't have to be through heart physics. You can have your own meditative way of worshiping or building relationship with God. I would like them to hear about you. How did you develop not that kind of a casual relationship with God, where you know how kind of He's there, but the one where you meet with in secret place with God? How did that happen?
Through heart physics.
Through heart physics.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So where were you before heart physics? What was your relationship with God?
It was more of like probably fear-based. probably like fear-based. But you know, I remember being a little girl. I can remember going to my grandma's house. My grandma had just the most, she was like a grandma that just had her house. She had a big yard. She had lots of fruit trees. And she had this garage where she had all this like stuff, like she was going to either sell it or have swap meet or whatever. But I found this big picture Bible in her garage. And that was like, for me as a little girl, before I actually came to Christ, I would look through the book and I started reading it because I love to read. And back then I loved to read, but they had the most beautiful pictures in this book. And it was just going through, and I instinctively knew that was a special book. I didn't know it was, you know, it just started reading about Jesus and reading about, you know, the birth and everything. And then it's like, I think maybe back then, before I went to my friend's church and kind of understood, I learned just by looking through the book, and just felt so much peace just looking through that book and reading about it and reading, which I thought were stories. I didn't think it was something that really had happened. But yeah, just going through that book and learning and just
isn't it when we realize that what we read in the Bible, we can actually applicate and bring it to our life? When we realize that this is our life, this is written for me. I mean, not for everybody, but it's just me. It changes everything, isn't it?
It really does.
You open Bible and you say, God, you say, I love you. I really believe you speak to me, to you. That's what just causes you to change, isn't it?
Yeah. It's so hard to read that, just the power and the beauty of the words without just weeping the whole time you're reading it, because it's just so beautiful. It's just like the love. You just can't, and I think you don't realize how much the love until you have your own children, until you give birth, until you know, when you see your newborn and you just don't realize how that love, you would die. You would just not even think twice. I would totally die for my kids if without yeah.
Those feelings, this love. Where was I before he was or she was born?
Yeah.
How could I live? What was my life about? I don't understand when you see this.
I know.
And that's how God is about us, isn't it? So beautiful.
Yeah. I love that we get to be co-creators with him. He allows that. He allows us to be co-creators, where, you know, your kids have a little bit of you and a little bit of your husband, and then, but they're not, like I said, when we started, they're not an extension of you. He made them their own person. And that's just, that in itself is beautiful. Even sometimes you don't agree all the time, but you know, it's amazing that they have their own ideas and their own thoughts, and, you know.
Yes.
It's amazing.
You know, you told us about you a little bit, although I want more. If there is anything you want to tell us, please. You told us about your children. How about your hubby? What's his name?
His name is Bob.
Bob.
Yeah, Bob. But he goes by Bobby because his parents called him Bobby, so we call him Bobby. But yeah, he's a good guy. He's a commercial electrician, and you know, he's a very hard worker. He's, you know, we're kind of opposites as far as I'm more feeling, and I think it's just women, we just kind of tend to feel emotionally more, but he's like the constant. He's the one that always makes sure, you know, that we're consistent with, you know, that this is how I'm able to go off and do all my crazy things, like start a mobile grooming business and start this and start that, because I know he's always going to be the consistent one. He's always going to make sure, you know, we got to pay that bill. We got to make sure we do, you know, so we're kind of so yin and yang, but we come together.
How nice. You just described my husband too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow. Tell Bobby hi from Rake.
I will.
That's how men are. And I believe, you know, that I thank God for our men. That's how they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Just the head, the stable guy, the bread maker that will give us that sense of security. And thank God, Victoria, you have
Thank
a man
God.
like this. Thank God for him. And I
Yeah.
hope that he is watching this. God bless you. God bless you, Bobby.
No, he's working.
I know it's not live, but I'm saying maybe later on.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Wow, Victoria, what would you like to tell people? I know
There's
it's
always,
uh-huh.
gosh, it's just life. I'm learning now as I'm getting older. It's like life is just so precious. It just, you just, it's just so precious. And just to remember to love people that you care about and tell them that you love them, and just spend the time that you can with them. You know, my mom's 84, and just spending time with her, and just knowing she's not going to be here forever. She's, you know, one day she's going to go home, and it's just, just life is beautiful.
Yes. Just love. That was good. Just tell people you love them. Even when you're mad at them, even if they leave late for school, you still tell them you love them. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're late for your bus. I love you. What else? I'm sorry. I didn't mean it sounded so nice, profound, and I just messed it up. Say it again.
No. I totally get it. It's hard. See, that's a part of that, like not being able to let go. Well, sorry, you're just going to be late, and you're going to not get your schoolwork done. Too bad.
I walk to school. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the hard part about being a parent, is like you can't do everything for your kids. They have to find out for themselves.
Yeah, but if the school is far, you got to drive them if they don't make sense. So
I know.
Codependency. Yeah.
I know. Okay, see, I think that's where it gets blurry, because it's like there's certain things you have to do for them, because like you said, you have to drive them to school because they can't walk and there's no bus, so you have to do that. But then
no phone for a day.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make it about me and my kids.
No, it's totally, we're talking, it's good. That's what we're doing.
I love it. And especially, okay, funny question. What do you guys cook? What's your favorite meal? Because I see different cultures here.
Gosh. Usually I'm just cooking like here and there and in a hurry. So sometimes it'll be breakfast for dinner. Sometimes it'll be, easy thing is like, my husband always wants beans, like refried beans. Like he says, you should have just like refried beans, but refried beans, I don't do canned beans, and I make them from scratch because it's cheap and it's so easy to make them from scratch, but it takes all day. So
yes.
I haven't done the crock pot thing, the beans in the crock pot. I always have them like in my cast iron pot, and keep adding water as but yeah, just beans and rice always.
Beans and rice. Victoria, what I see in you is passion to, and tell me if that's true, passion to coach, teach people with patience and love. And is that true when you go to your customers, you call it, when you groom them? Don't you give them a bunch of right advices?
I do, but then when I'm not with somebody, I tend to, I love teaching people about their dogs, but sometimes I give advice when they're not asking for it. So sometimes that's hard, but because like if they have a dog that jumps up on people and I'll start just automatically correcting the dog, and then sometimes people get like, yeah, that's my dog. You can't beat my
dog. You're not a trainer, right? You just
but it's just instinctively I'll just like do correct the dog, and then it's like, oh, sorry, but
wow, so that's like a weekly challenge for you.
It is.
I will have to bring my dog one day to you.
Oh, I would love it.
It's not easy. He thinks he's a lion, so he doesn't let you touch his feet, as you say, his paws.
Oh, yeah. Woo. Yeah, he's a carrier.
He's a carrier. Come on.
Yeah.
So dogs have nature, just like people have nature. There's
Just
so
like,
much alikeness, isn't it?
mhm.
So do you agree with this theory, back to dogs, that dogs are the closest friends to people?
I think so. I think so. I like the, dog is God spelled backwards. It's like you kind of get that, they're so
Favorite.
forgiving. They live in the moment. They teach us about love. They, you know,
Wow. Yes, so I was thinking about dog creation, and I was trying to ask God one day, never heard nothing. God, what did you have in mind when you created particularly dog? Why are they so close? So that's why I asked you this question. It's very cool to just, think about it, ponder.
well, and not only that, just all the breeds that we have now. Those were like created breeds. People, based on what they needed. Like a Great Pyrenees. A Great Pyrenees was a dog that went out and helped the fishermen bring the nets of the fish in.
Right.
They're big, heavy, double-coated dog, and they needed to be able to go in freezing cold water. So they needed a coat that would repel the water away from their skin to keep them warm. They wouldn't, so it's neat that people were able to create these breeds with God overseeing everything.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of people think that these breeds came in, I like that dog and that dog, so let's do this dog. No, it was like very well documented, and the breeds had to be consistent. It had to be the ultimate, the finished product, I guess you could say, had to be a consistent nature and a consistent character traits. Like your Cairn Terrier, they needed dogs that would go after the rodents and the rats and the squirrels, but they needed a consistent breed. So he has that rough coat, to just so that it protects them from like animals that are going to bite him. And and they have that personality, that tenacious personality, to actually go down a hole. Asking a dog to go down a hole to go get something, that need a very tenacious personality. So that's where the Cairn Terrier came from.
Wow. Yeah, I don't want to exclude one person that will listen to you and loves you very much, just as much as I do. It's Jeff Hilton, who we call Rabbi Bam. So he's got German Shepherd. Would you say something, give a tips on German Shepherds?
German Shepherds, brush, 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 and brush. They got a double coat. They're going to constantly shed. A lot of people think a double coat, they're going to think that they just a season that they shed. No, they shed year round, because they have a type of coat that's called determined coat, where it only grows this long and then it sheds. So you need to constantly brush. German Shepherds, their personality, they've got such an amazing personality. They mature at a slower rate than, like, say, another breed like a lab or something. They take longer to mature. So they're
just
more
like men. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just like men. But it's what an amazing breed. It's just amazing. Just creative work. Yeah, they're guard dogs, police dogs. The Malinois is, but Shepherds are, they're guarding. They guard. They're just, love them. Beautiful.
Amazing. That's amazing. So we can learn so much, guys. And don't think this was a session about dogs. We can see so much that we can learn from them.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Victoria, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. It was fun. We jumped around a little bit, but it was fun.
There's so much depth, and I almost wish I could go in future for a second to read other people's comments if this was live session. Well, it's not, so you could speak more, but maybe if there is gonna be more questions, I wouldn't mind if we did another session just to those questions.
That would be fun. I mean, I don't know everything, but I mean, I can tell you what I know.
Exactly. To me, you seem like you know everything about them.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you so much. So guys,
thank you.
Guys, if you are encouraged, please share, subscribe, or post comments. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Bye guys. No, he's not a puppy. He's 5, almost 6 years old. His name is
Oh, wow. He looks good. Man, I just want to brush him. Back coat. No. I mean, no, that coat, you do what's called carding. You hand strip it. And there's a stripping knife that you use, and you like to keep that coat harsh. Like if you use a clipper, their coat will be soft, but it's supposed to be like a harsh coat, like so when you hand strip it, it naturally brings the oils to the skin, and then you're supposed to like pull the coat. Well, he's so cute. Look at him. Oh my goodness.
Do you have your dog you want to show me, or they are?
Yeah, I'll show you. Mine are raggedy because they're at the beach, but let me show you Diamond.
Okay. You want to see the dog?
This is Diamond.
Oh, look at this puppy. They don't see it. Oh my gosh. If you don't mind, I'm going to include it in bloopers.
Okay. Yeah? Well, she's little, but she's easy to pick up. I need to get my other one. Yeah.
What's his name?
Diamond. She's a red poodle. Red stem.
Wow. She's well taken care. Look how healthy dog. Oh my God. Buddy, say hi. Look, it's a girl. You like all girls.
He is
to
so
kill all the male
like
dogs, but he loves all the girl dogs.
Oh yeah, mine do too. Mine are. They're so funny because when they're on the beach and off leash, they're having fun. They get along with all these other dogs, but then when they're on leash, mine are kind of like they get aggressive. They get like.
And tell me, how did you train them to walk without leash? I can't do this. He will just, this one takes off and he comes back home, but after an hour. And I don't know who he fights, so I can't do
well, remember he's terrier.
Oh,
But you could keep him, does he come back when you call him sometimes or no?
He will come back to me, but he will run by me and then go back. So never submissive. To just submit. No, I have to catch him.
See, it's a game.
Oh yeah, I know.
He's turned it into a game.
I know.
So, yeah. You know what? The beach, you just when you're like in an area, like you might want to try like in a fenced area first, and then have like a treat, and then when you call him, you know, make him come to you. But off leash at the beach, because they're just so attached to me, you just have to try it sometimes and just let them go, and then, you know, just make sure that everything's safe. There's not a whole lot of danger they can get into at the beach, so that's why it's easy to let him go at the beach.
Sometimes I just cut his fur by myself. I shouldn't do it, huh?
No, you can, but you know what you should do is get a brush. I'm trying to think.
I have hard brush for him, for the dog.
Yeah, but you want to get like a let me see if I can find a picture of one.
Hi, my name is Buddy
Lopez. So cute, Buddy Lopez. Sounds like a comedian.
He is. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to say at the session, but you know what he taught me? He taught me that because of his behavior, he's such a small dog, but he behaves like a king. I said, that's an identity in Christ.
That's a good thing, yeah.
He is really never scared of nothing. He will fight the dragon.
Terrier.
See?
He is so adorable.
Thank you so much. Maybe you're like a Christian or something, huh? I forgot to ask you one more thing at session. What do you think of people praying for their dogs or animals?
Oh, I think, always, I think it's a good thing. Like somebody said in one of the, when somebody said something about their dog, please pray for my friend's dog. And it's like, God cares about everything we care about. So obviously he would care about our dogs.
Yes, absolutely, right? So it's okay to lay your hands and pray if there's...
Well, you know, that's why you need to see like Dave Duell read one of his books, because that's what he used to do. That's how he started on healing, and he was a cattle rancher, and he used to lay hands on people's horses and cattle, and they would get better. Ask Jim about him. They were very close friends.
Wow, you hear that? From now on, I bless you in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Okay, he doesn't want to show his face no more.
Oh,
says that's it. Okay, I'll let you go.
What a cutie.
Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
This is what you want. I don't know if you could see it, but I can send you the link.
Oh, no, I got it. I got it.
Oh, okay.
I have that. I can use it. Thank you.
Yeah, but what you want to do is get him up on the table, because when you're grooming, you can't groom him on the floor because he's just going to take off. Put him somewhere up, like on a table, on a sturdy table, and you want to grab the skin behind his ear, like his ruff. You want to stretch the skin, and then you use that and this rake, and it'll get all that hair, the fine one. And you want to get all that, and then that will stimulate, that'll like pull the hair out that needs to be pulled, all the dead hair, and then it'll stimulate his coat to help new hair grow, and then he won't shed as much. You want to just rake, just the whole, stretch his skin though, as you're doing it with one hand, and then brush him with that with the other. Don't go like on his belly and stuff, but just be careful going over the same spot every time, because you could bruise them sometimes. But just keep going over it. I mean, not keep going over it, but go over it. And then when you start getting less hair, you've kind of pulled some of that hair out. But yeah, and that's what I mean, like carding. It's called carding. It's when you just get all that dead hair out.
Very good. Cool. I'll do it. Definitely.
Yeah.
Never done that before.
And you also can get a brush. Let me see where my brush is. Oh, okay. This is another
Oh, yes. That's what I have to.
a slicker. Okay, so do both. Let me get Selah up here.
How about if there are cats owners? Certain.
Yeah, you can use the Andis rake on a cat. Yeah.
Because we know Brenda Richards, she's got cats, so it's for her.
Yeah, you can use the Andis rake on them, and usually with cats though, you can only the cat. It's up to the cat when the groom's done, because I do groom cats too. But it's always with cats. You have to really watch body language. You have to make sure they don't get stressed out, because they could have a heart attack and die. If they're like, if they get really stressed out and their heart rate starts going too high, they could just die.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why with cats, I always ask people to put them in a carrier, and they have to be in a carrier before I get there, because cats, for some reason, always know when I'm coming, and then they go hide, and then they're like, oh, I can't find her. No, you need to put her in a carrier first. Put her in a carrier, and then I get the cat in the carrier, and then when they're kind of confused, like wondering where the heck they are, that's when I get it done. I groom them, and then put them in the bathtub, bathe them, wash them, dry them, bam, done. And then you just have to do it fast.
Yes. Wow, you're awesome. Awesome.
Let me pick my other one.
You with the dogs. Oh my gosh, this is a bunch of cuteness. Oh, he's so cute. What's his name?
Selah.
Her. So you have two girls. Selah, you're so cute. Did you make those things here?
You know what? I have to put this. I banded her ear. She's heavy. I had to band her because her hair gets in her mouth, so I have to do that if I want her ears long and pretty.
Oh, it looks so adorable.
Yeah, she's funny.
Does it take a lot of work to keep them?
You know what, it does, but I just have to groom them once a week, because it just cuts down on the time that I have to spend on them, because just having to scissor and comb and get them all, it's just easier. And they're inside most of the time, so I don't like a stinky dog. So and they don't get like stinky smelly, but I just like them clean. So I do them once a week, and it's just easier to stay on top of their hair.
Thank you. So can I bath mine once a week or once a month?
Yeah, absolutely. I would do once a week if you want to. If he's in the house most of the time, you can. But I would get like a really good, a good quality shampoo, and you can use like whatever you use for shampoo. A lot of people say, oh, the pH is for their skin. It's going to get him clean, and it's not going to dry out his skin. So you can totally bathe him once a week.
Okay. Thank you so much. You know what? I almost want to keep it all for people, but I know I have to do some cuts.
Yeah.
You are such a good dog doctor, Rake.
Oh, you're so funny.